Good morning, Bimblers, and you join me at Windermere station. I've been a very good boy again, and I've been permitted to go on one of my silly little adventures on my bike. And it was hard work finding somewhere where it wasn't pouring down with rain or blowing a gale. So we've ended up in Cumbria. It's not raining and it's not windy. It's a little bit misty on the lake, but I think that might look nice on the camera. So let's stop messing about and let's bimble.
Big plans are easiest to make. Aim for the stars, it's yours, just wait. You do your best along the way. But it's those arms that told me I don't care if it's yours or mine. Without you it's just a waste of time. You showed me from the start such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be yours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you, heart to hold you down. Though some get lost along the way, as sure as night designed the day, as long as I'm allowed to say, it's my heart that told me I don't care, you just disagree. Without you it wasn't meant to be. You showed me from the start such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be yours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you, heart to hold you. I don't care, you can say what you like. I'm a peace-loving person, but I know I'm right. It's as easy as right from wrong. I'm a lover, not a fighter, so I wrote this.
You'd be forgiven for thinking that this little village at the side of Lake Windermere is called Windermere, but it's not. It's called Bowness. Windermere is where we got off the train, at the top of the hill, in that little village. But this big puddle behind me is called Lake Windermere, and it's 11 miles long and 1 mile across at its widest point, and 67 metres deep at its deepest point. It's the biggest lake in the Lake District. Or is it? If you've ever been to a pub quiz, you may have heard the question, how many lakes are there in the Lake District? And you're supposed to say 1. That would be Bassenthwaite Lake. But it's only because that's the only one called lake. The rest are called tarns and meres. And I've got news for you pub quizzers. A tarn and a mere are both lakes. A tarn's a mountain lake and a mere is a shallow lake in proportion to its size. So that's where you get Windermere, because in proportion to its size, it's not actually that deep. Windermere gets its name from a Swedish or German origin, and it was called Vinens Mere. It was named after a man. And obviously we say W as W, were, and in Germany and Sweden they say it as a V. Wordsworth, or Wordsworth if you're from Germany, described it thusly: a universe of nature's fairest forms, proudly revealed with instantaneous burst, magnificent and beautiful and gay. It's not only Bowness that's at the side of Lake Windermere. You also have Ambleside to the north, and to the south you have Lakeside. That's where they do the darts. Kieran, you require a ferry across Lake Windermere. Let's bimble. If you're going to go down National Cycle Route number 6 like we're doing today, you're going to have to go over Lake Windermere on this ferry. And it's a cable ferry. And apparently there's 3 types of cable ferry. There's a motorised one, like this one, Mallard. And then there's a hand-driven one, like they have going over the River Avon in Stratford. And you also have another type called a reaction ferry, which uses the current of the river to take you across. Up until 2017, they had one of those in Shropshire, but it's gone now. But if you're going to get on this ferry, be aware it costs £2 with your bike, but it runs every day apart from Christmas Day and Boxing Day. And it runs from 6:50 in the morning until 8:50 in the evening. So quite a large scope. We've missed that one now, so we'll have to get it when it comes back. Let's wait.
Hard to bring you round. It could be yours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you. Heart to hold you. I don't care, you can say what you like. I'm a peace-loving person, but I know I'm right. It's as easy as right from wrong. I'm a lover, not a fighter, so I wrote this song. You showed me from the start. Such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be yours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you. Heart to hold you down from the start. Such inspirations need a heart to bring you round.
In the middle of Lake Windermere is a series of small islands, the largest of which is called Belle Isle. That's 1 kilometre long, and it in fact used to be called Long Home. That's because of how long it was. It was long enough and big enough for you to build a house on, and that's what the Roman governor of Ambleside did in the 2nd century. He built himself rather a grand dwelling, and after the Romans left, the lord of the manor lived there. In fact, it was a royalist stronghold during the Civil War. And the Phillipson family who lived there were held under siege for 8 days by the parliamentary forces. But apparently Cromwell's army gave up and left them alone. In the 1700s it was sold to the Kerwin family, and they lived there right up until 1993. It was the Kerwin family that changed the name of the island from Longholm to Belle Isle, and they named it after their daughter, Isabella Kerwin. She liked having an island named after her so much that in 1781 she bought the island from her father for £1,720. That's about £230,000 in today's money, which is a bargain when you think about it. I'd buy an island for that. But when you think about it even further, shouldn't her dad have just give her the island, you know, in his will or something? Anyway, they built a rather posh house on the island that's modelled on the Pantheon in Rome. Apparently it's got 4 giant stone pillars on the entrance, or portico, if you're going to talk posh. I did think about having a little camp on one of these islands. You know, rent a canoe, or even swim over to some of them. Some of them are quite close to the shore. But I don't think you should swim in Lake Windermere. That's due to some raw sewage finding its way into the lake in 2020 and 2021. Apparently it flowed out of Ambleside wastewater treatment works. You know, the one run by United Utilities, allegedly. By all accounts, raw sewage flowed into the River Rothay for 1,000 hours. And 40% of the contaminants in Lake Windermere apparently come from United Utilities, allegedly. As if you needed any more excuses to hate United Utilities. They even get.
Are you listening? You still won't figure it out. Figure it. With all your thoughts on your mind all the time, oh it's deafening. You still won't figure it out. Figure it. With a simple frame of mind, time. You can protest all you like, we both know. With goodwill on your side and a little time, you can have just what you like, we both know. Things could be easy if you just try. Better off this time. Have it your own way if you like. Things could be easy if you just try. I know you heard every word, every line, but you're missing it. Why won't you figure it out? Figure it. I know I talk really loud. If you heard, oh it's deafening. You still won't figure it out. Figure it. With a simple frame of mind and a little time, you can protest all you like, we both know.
And so we reach Wray Castle, journey's end. I've got pasty in my beard. I've just bought a very expensive pasty from the cafe here at Wray Castle. Well, I say I've just bought it. In fact, you lot bought me that pasty. And you paid for my rail ticket. And you've paid for 2 goes on the ferry as well. So thanks very much for all your donations. And you're buying stuff on Bandcamp. I'm nowhere near getting paid for the amount of time it takes to make one of these videos. But I'm breaking even. And that's thanks to you lot. Wray Castle was built in 1840. And it was built by a Liverpool surgeon when he retired. And you might think that it was all of his money that built the castle. But it was actually his wife's money, her inheritance. James Dawson married a Margaret Preston, and she became Margaret Dawson. And her father was a gin merchant. That was big business back then. In fact, it's big business now. I can remember 20 years ago when I used to work in a pub. Nobody drank gin. I'd be looking right at the back of the fridge for the tonic when people ordered it. But now everyone's drinking it. You can buy it in Lidl. Not only was he a gin merchant, but he owned half of an engineering firm as well. That would be Fawcett, Preston and Company. And they made paddle steamers that were sent all the way over to America. James and Margaret Dawson evidently didn't have any children because Wray Castle was passed down to one of their nephews, an Edward Preston Rawnsley. And I can't find out anything about him, but he did bring his cousin Hardwick Rawnsley to be the vicar here at Wray Castle. In fact, the vicar here at St Margaret's Church. We're filming this bit to camera just outside of the church because it's nice and quiet. St Margaret's Church is obviously named St Margaret's Church because of Margaret Dawson. It was Hardwick Rawnsley that had the main claim to fame here at Wray Castle. It was him and 2 other people that started the National Trust. And Wray Castle is now run by the National Trust. That's why I had to buy that really expensive pasty. Hardwick, a Sir Robert Hunter and an Octavia Hill started the National Trust. And it was all started to save Hampstead Heath in London. And they also saved Buttermere from having a railway and a quarry built, and kept its scenic splendour. The National Trust was started in 1894, but it wasn't until 1929, 9 years after Hardwicke Rawnsley died, that Wray Castle was given to the National Trust. You've got to love the National Trust. Some of my favourite naughty camps are on National Trust property. I've camped here once as well. Got a nice little hidey hole in case we want to come back this year. The other famous person that stayed at Wray Castle was Beatrix Potter when she was 16 on her holidays. And it's thought that the grounds of Wray Castle were some of the inspiration for some of her stories. In fact, she used some of the royalties from Peter Rabbit to buy a house just up the road, just where we got off the ferry. And speaking of ferries, it's time for me to mosey on home back to my warren, and back to my little Molly.